So, how is it that we are able to communicate at all? I enjoy reading Albert Camus, for example, but his words were written in French and translated into English. How can they have any meaning for me? As far as I know, since I do not speak French, the translator could make up anything he wants, and I would have no clue. Pragmatically and existentially, as long as it helps me contemplate questions I have about myself and my will for power, which supposedly Camus is contemplating also in his writings, it does not really matter. As I've stated many times before, often the only way to talk about truth or illusion is through fiction and ambiguity. Logic and reason are the tools by which we act and get things done in the battle to survive, and thus, at least for the foreseeable future, require the three premises of thought, the three fundamental laws of logic. 1, the law of contradiction. 2, the law of the excluded middle. And 3, the principle of identity. However, when you are trying to contemplate truths about the precedent words of reality, I am not, I want, reason and logic are fairly worthless because these words precede reason and logic. I am, therefore I think. Strict application of logic and reason to questions of what I am not, and what I want only lead either to solipsism or to contradictions, such as it is absolutely true that all truth is relative, or I know absolutely that I know nothing. These are just as bad as solipsism, except for the fact that they at least show us there is something wrong in using solely reason and logic to contemplate these questions. Essentially, what I understand when I understand the translation of Camus' writings is not Camus, but myself and my words. The existential meaning of the words I am not, I want, show that I exist, but they also show that I am not alone. Otherwise, there would be no reason to ask, what does Camus mean by his writings? They would mean the same thing that I mean. If all there was in reality was me and my will, the resulting private language would not need translation, nor would it create the question of how do I translate Camus. What I say is what I say. I exist. The fact that I asked this question proves that I am not alone. The use of reason and logic to create words to pragmatically get my existence across into the other wills for power that are out there in reality, outside of my existence, are the tools by which I get to know my existence and the other wills for power and reality out there. Unfortunately, because of the nature of being, I can never express by language what I have learned and know by any means other than the words created by reason and logic that are limited to their usefulness. Whereof one cannot speak, thereof one must be silent. Unfortunately, the question is too important to be silent about it. These are problems in ontology and metaphysics that hopefully I will contemplate later. Going back to the example of Albert Camus, he grew up the impoverished son of a working-class French in its Algerian colony, with his father dying while he was young in World War I. He grew up in poverty and eventually caught tuberculosis. Just based on this greatly simplified reality of his life, I will never know what the reality of his I am was. However, by the fact that something useful to me comes from reading his words in my language framework, at least proves there is another I am out there, no matter how badly the translator may mess up the French. Hopefully there are shared experiences. The words will be useful in expressing what we have, useful in expressing that we have something in common, and hopefully in expressing what that commonality is. Does the pragmatic meaning of words apply to mathematics and logic, and thus to science with its great successes? It does. It is important for the working person to know this. The great present success of science has made it the new demigod for the powers. This is dangerous, especially when the usefulness of this new demigod begins to fade.